Turns out hot wax is not my friend.
I'm running out of options for you here, Louisa.
Please, I'll take anything.
And this is new care and companionship for a disabled man.
Do you have any experience of caregiving?
I've never done it, but I'm sure I could learn.
Hi, I'm Daphney, and I'm a certified dating relationship coach. And today I want to talk about the movie Me Before You. Now, I've seen this movie before, but I decided to rewatch it. And let me tell y'all, I was on an emotional roller coaster. So let's just get into it, right? So there's like these two main characters. One is Will.
William. Hello, Louisa Clark. I'm Will Trainer.
Now, Will used to be this very successful, adventurous, charismatic, business person who was in love. He had found the love of his life, at least he thought he had, right? And then one day, on a really, really rainy day, he got hit by a motorcycle driver, right? And what happened is that this left Will not being able to care for himself any longer. So he had to be in a wheelchair. He was in a bed when he wasn't in the wheelchair. So that leads us to Louisa.
Good morning. Oh, he hates me. Every time I speak, he looks at me like I'm stupid.
To be fair, you are pretty stupid.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that yet.
Louisa was this cute, bubbly girl who still lived with her parents, right? Who had this boyfriend of 7 years, and she worked at this coffee shop, right? And one day she went in, and at the end of her shift, she lost her job. She went home, she told her family, and they were so sad because not only had she lost her job, but her father had lost his job, right? And so they were depending on her income to get by. So Louisa had to desperately go out and find a job, right? She was searching, so I think she went to the unemployment office, and the person that was working with her, found this job as a caretaker for a well-off, person who was disabled and needed someone to care for them on a daily basis, right? And so Louisa went, she got the job, she met Will, and on the first day, he just shut her down. Because the other thing about Will is that he had pretty much given up on life. He had stopped going out, he had stopped talking to people. He was just like in his own little world, and he had just decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore.
Interesting choice of footwear.
What do you mean by that?
They can't be from around here.
Why not?
This is the kind of place people come to when they got tired of actually living.
I'm happy here.
Well, you shouldn't be. You only get one life. It's actually your duty to live it as fully as possible.
I can't live like this anymore. And then when he met Louisa, this bubbly girl who came with these, interesting clothes every day, and the spirit that was like contagious, she changed his mind. One day he got really mad at her, and I think he was going to fire her, right? But she said to him, don't fire me, please don't fire me, because I really need this job. And that was the first time in the movie that I got to see Will's humanity, his compassion, his empathy, right? And so after that day, things changed, right? And they started like talking, they started laughing, they started doing stuff together.
Can I take you somewhere?
You are so going on a date with Will Trainer.
It's too booby.
Get the red dress out.
I don't want to go in yet. I just want to be a man who's been to a concert with a girl in a red dress. A few minutes more.
Until this one day. And I'm gonna tell y'all, there was all this good stuff happening between the two of them. He was going out of the house, they were doing stuff, right? And my heart started to swell like Grinch, right? Remember when his heart kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until he had that like goofy smile on his face, right? I felt like that in the movie while I was watching the movie. And then one day, out of the blue, an attorney comes. Louisa lets him in, and Will says, let's meet in the courtyard, and they talk. And Louisa overhears Will saying that I promised I'd give my parents 6 months.
I promised my parents 6 months, and that's what I've given them.
But that was before me.
And then I would, continue on. And what Will wanted to do was to, he wanted to discontinue. I don't know if that's a good word, but he didn't want to live anymore. Let me just say it that way. He had decided that I can't live like this. I can't live in this body. I can't live this way because the person I was before is the person that I loved.
I want him to live, but only if he wants to live.
I can't just let this happen.
You can't change who people are.
I mean, what can you do?
You love them.
I love my life. I love being who I am, right? And at that point, and I want to make my point right now because, I started thinking, because I know love that Will, started to fall in love with Louisa and she started to fall in love with him. I could see it in his eyes, in the way he looked at her, how she looked at him, the things he did for her.
I have become a whole new person because of you.
Do you know something, Clark? You are pretty much the only thing that makes me want to get up in the morning.
The things that he could do for her and he did, right? I mean, they were so meaningful and thoughtful. So I could see that he was falling in love with Louisa, right? So the thing that, I want to make a point about, and I thought about this as I was continuing to watch the movie, is it selfish to put yourself first in love? And then the other thing is this, I always say that sometimes love is just not enough, right? Now, as I went through this movie and we're getting closer to the end, and if y'all haven't seen it, the end ends just like it's supposed to, right? It ends the way Will wants it to. And I started thinking, because I always tell people that do what's best for you. Make yourself the priority in your relationship, right? And so when I realized that, as I watched the movie and I was sitting there and my heart was breaking and the tears were falling faster and faster and faster, I said, you know what? This is exactly what it is that people should be doing. They should love themselves. They should put themselves first, because until you can do that, until you're good, which is what I always say, you can't really love someone else. And now Will loved Louisa, and at the end he even told her so, right? But the thing about it is, Will, loved himself as well. And there is nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, I truly believe that when you love somebody, you have to let them go. You have to let them do what's best for them. And that's exactly what Louisa did. She loved him to the end. He loved her to the end. And let me just say that sometimes, love is just not enough, right? And sometimes love is enough in the sense that you're willing to step aside and let someone, love themselves more. And Will needed that at that time. He needed to be able to love himself, the way he wanted to love himself more, and be able to say, I can't do this. If I can't be the guy, the person that that's going to be, fully invested in loving you the way I want to, then I'm just gonna have to do what's best for me. And I think that was the smartest thing that Will could have done, and the most thoughtful thing that Louisa could have done is be there with him at that moment. And so I just want to say that my point is this, that I don't think it's selfish to put yourself first in love, and I don't think it's selfish to, let yourself be the priority, and I don't think it's selfish to do what's best for you. And so that was my point from this movie, is that there's 2 points. One, that it's not selfish to love yourself first and to put yourself first. And it's not, and the other point is that sometimes, love really isn't enough. I'm Daphney. Thank you. And this is another episode of Coachable Moments at the Movies.